G'day guys, my name is Christopher and welcome to my Inktober tour for 2018. I wanted to share some of my thoughts and reflections for the whole process with you, and also I took a while to get this done because I failed the challenge, and I'll talk more about that in a while, but I had to catch up and complete some prompts after the official challenge had finished. And to be fully transparent, I actually included some pieces I did before the challenge as well. So I just talked about the fact that I actually failed the challenge, but I'm so pleased with how my Inktober journey went. I initially set the goal of completing a piece of art for every single day during October, and to also film and edit and post a video for those days as well. I think now that was quite a little bit unrealistic. The amount of time that it takes to film and edit and post a video is really quite large, and some of the days I ended up working for 8 to 12 hours or more on the pieces to get it all done. And so initially I shifted to not filming on weekends, and then I also skipped some days entirely, and especially towards the end I didn't keep up. This day 6 drilling piece is one of the days I didn't film and show. It's in a cartoon sort of style and uses Copic markers to show this zombie girl coming across her old boyfriend who is trapped at our locked door. And I didn't show this piece for day 7 either, and I think it's interesting to start to see how I branch out into different art styles during Inktober. I'm really pleased with how that happened. This piece is very surrealist in nature, but I didn't expect that at all. Initially, I thought I'd probably create lots of portraits of animals that are quite realistic, kind of using inks like watercolours and creating a style similar to how I would watercolour. But in fact, I ended up using inks fairly infrequently and not doing that many animal portraits. Day 9 Precious is one of the ones that is only ink, Marabou Aqua inks and the Winsor & Newton Gold ink, and an animal portrait. But when you see day 10, you can see something very different. This is the first in a triptych that is inspired by Japanese artists who created wood blocks in the Edo period or earlier. And I think it is quite amazing to see the directions you go in if you allow yourself for that to happen when you're creating at a high rate on a regular schedule. It's also very challenging and draining to be creative every single day and to push yourself every single day. Obviously, I couldn't do it every single day, but it was close to it. And it does take a surprising amount of mental energy and drive to keep up with it. So if I attempt Inktober again, I'm going to follow the lessons that I learned from many other YouTubers. And that is to plan out the Inktober more carefully. I was thinking of what I would do the day that I hit that day usually, and many other people in the community, I realized, had planned weeks or months in advance what they were actually going to draw. And in addition to that, I know that many YouTubers had filmed starting in mid-September or earlier, or at least several days ahead, so that they would be able to release the video that exact morning and it would already be done and ready. And if something happened, like you got sick a day or you really couldn't manage the time that day, you'd still have a video to post. And so that was a valuable lesson for me. Initially, I thought it would be better to just challenge myself on the actual day and to see what I could create spur of the moment. But it became quite stressful and I became quite anxious as well, because I would wake up in the morning and see people already posted their prompt and their video already done. And in some cases, it was like for the next day or the day ahead. Sometimes I guess because of time zones and time differences, and sometimes I think just because they were that ahead that they were just publishing it well in advance. Maybe they were hoping to get some of the first views or likes, but it, for me, created an anxious environment or a tense environment on some days, and I hadn't even started. I had to still do my normal day, my normal routine, and I often ended up beginning the piece during the night of that day when everyone had moved on to the next day or the day after that. So I will probably work ahead if I'm going to YouTube Inktober in the future to cut down on that anxiety and then release the videos on the actual prompt day. And people will be able to probably find my videos a little bit easier in case they're curious or they're searching for inspiration themselves on that day, rather than several days later when I would usually be publishing the video. I also was really pleased though, apart from getting anxious at times, I was really pleased with the interactions I had with other members of the YouTube community during the Inktober whole journey. So many people inspired me and encouraged me and motivated me, and I'm so grateful for those connections that I made with other artists and especially other YouTuber artists during that time. I'm going to link below some of the YouTubers that I was following during that time, and if you haven't checked out their Inktober series, you won't be disappointed. They did some amazing stuff, or they had incredible insights, or both. And I'm also really aware and grateful for how many non-artists were following my journey, or perhaps they're casual artists but they don't post on YouTube, and the comments that I received were so encouraging from you guys, so inspiring, so motivating. It really surprised me how much of an impact it made. I'm the kind of person that normally will just challenge myself and go about setting my own goals and doing things my own way. I've always been pretty independent like that, but it is surprising how much of an impact it makes to have some positive feedback, especially during a challenge that is quite challenging and consistently draining and consistently something you have to deal with day after day after day. Those comments that I would receive really motivated me to create the best possible pieces that I could on as many days as I could. And like I said before, try out new things. There are so many firsts that I had during my Inktober journey, and I'm so grateful for them. I guess you can also see I have a lot of different art supplies that I've collected over the years but not used so often. And so Inktober is also has now encouraged me to be branching out and trying out more of those things. Like this 3 marker challenge. I'd never done one of those before. There are so many firsts that I had during my Inktober journey, and I'm so grateful for them. This is another one. I hadn't done a complex portrait piece in pastels before, and I'd never tried to mix pastels with ink. That was a challenge with the ink pen, and it was another one in my series of countries of the world and the national animals from that country. I'm really pleased with how it turned out for starting off with pastels. I guess you can also see I have a lot of different art supplies that I've collected over the years but not used so often. And so Inktober is also has now encouraged me to be branching out and trying out more of those things. I say I play around with a lot of different materials, but I do tend to stick with watercolours and colour pencils a lot of the time. I'm really curious though what my viewers think. Now that you're able to see all of my pieces, I'd love to hear in the comments below which is your favourite out of all of my Inktober journey. We're getting towards the end of my journey now. You'll see on day 30 the prompt word is jolt, but I've included my fan art for the chilling adventures of Sabrina. And that's because originally I did that for the prompt word of jolt on day 30, but I ended up posting it with slice because of the direction that my short story took. But I was actually inspired here by, in the TV show, how Sabrina walks down the staircase and Harvey looks up to see her and gets jolted and stunned by what a vision she looks like and how magical she looks. I also took it a step further by having her floating down the stairs rather than walking. I really prefer that idea. And so for day 31, I've included a Japanese samurai slicing at you with his samurai sword. And that is it for my Inktober journey. I'm really grateful for everyone that's followed along and for those that have also taken the time to comment. Thank you so much. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. I'll see you guys soon for another art adventure. Bye.